So Brian, that third time you were in hospital and you were in for a shorter time and they had given you the diagnosis of bipolar, and you'd obviously been questioning your diagnosis throughout.
Yeah.
Did that diagnosis sit better with you?
Well, I'd heard, I'd heard it was a better diagnosis, schizophrenia. There was a better prognosis. So that was something that kind of encouraged me a little bit. But at the same time, I knew it was a very serious mental illness. For example, like when I went to college that year, I'd enough a sense not to say that I had a mental illness, because I didn't believe they'd take me onto the course. This was a 4-year course in Trinity College, training and becoming a professionally qualified social worker. I didn't believe that they'd take me on the course if I told them I had schizophrenia. And perhaps at the time they wouldn't have, because,
How did your family feel about you having a diagnosis of bipolar?
My family were somehow kind of felt, okay, Brian is going to be okay, They had great confidence in me. My mother was really perceptive. She'd always pick up, Brian is going off the rails again. I know it. And she started talking to other members of the family. And she always was the first to pick up on it.
And do you think your mother actually understood the illness, or was it just she understood you?
It is interesting. After my mum has died, this genetic link. Mum was in a nursing home, and the nurse in the nursing home said, "How long has your mother got the mood disorder?" And my family member, my sister, says, "Oh, it's not her that has the mood disorder. It's his son." Now I'm getting a bit upset thinking about it, but Mum used to have terrible mood swings, but we thought that was normal.
That's really interesting.
when we were young, and in the nursing home, I think she was undiagnosed some kind of mood disorder, because we all began to agree. Mum used to do these fantastic things and put on great entertainment, and then she'd take to the bed. But we used to think that's just the way Mum is. But in retrospect, we believed that Mum had some kind of a mood disorder herself. And that affected me. My relationship with my mum wasn't so close. I had a much stronger relationship with my dad. So, and I think that that was a significant part of the development of my mental illness.
Yes.
And again, I do see it as a spectrum. And I think we can swing from one part of that spectrum to the other. For example, when you're madly in love, everything is perfect, and then you could be suicidal at the other end of the spectrum. And I found myself swinging over and back on that spectrum without ever being kind of suicidal. And I think that's one of the things the psychiatrists were comfortable about. But the things I did were kind of crazy. I could have killed myself, but I wasn't going to do it on purpose, by the crazy things I did.
I know you have a real understanding of your illness now.
Yeah.
Do you think in the early days you were given that understanding by the professionals, or do you think it's something you've had to go and learn yourself over the years?
I think I refused to believe the professionals. I believed them to a certain extent, but I always wanted to challenge them. And I always felt that there's nothing I can do about my genetics by the biochemical arrangement in my brain, but there's a hell of a lot I can do about the way I live and how I relate to people. And I did an awful lot of work on that as the years went by. I did an awful lot of kind of counselling, a lot of group work. I read a lot about different views on mental illness. In college, I had a great opportunity to read all these, what you call anti-psychiatrists. I ate up those books and really enjoyed them. And then the psychologists, they called it abnormal psychology. They had a different view. I think that helped me to be skeptical of this traditional kind of biochemical model of mental illness. I always believed that I could compensate for any genetic weakness I could have. And I did that more and more as time went on.
Brian, that would be quite an unusual approach for a lot of people with serious mental illness, to sort of investigate and, question so much. For somebody who'd be given a diagnosis of bipolar or schizophrenia, who wouldn't have that skill set of interrogating, questioning, reading, how do you think we can, as psychiatrists, can get across the important points around a diagnosis?
The important points around diagnosis. It's a question, and I haven't thought it through very clearly. But I think the important point is developing a relationship with your patient, and as we begin to know each other more, I'll accept more of what you say. I really see it as a partnership. I see medication as an important part of that, but I think as time goes on, it's less medication and more other things can allow a person stay well. So I think it has to be continual movement. This idea of a diagnosis that you have for life never fitted with me. I think as time goes on, as I begin to learn about myself, I shift. My diagnosis might be the way I perceived it, because I felt I was moving and becoming healthier as time went by.
I think that's a really positive way of looking at it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.